I'm Ken Walls. You can find a lot of information about me by Googling me, or you can go to kenwalls.com. You can also go to Ken's Biz Card. I'll put that in the chat. Um, I actually reinvented the digital business card, so you can check that out. It's all you can only see it on your phone. Um, but anyway, so I've been in technology and web development and online marketing for about 30 years. Long time. Built my very first website in 1994. It was before the internet was even popular. It wasn't even a thing yet. But it was becoming a thing, and I saw that, and so I'll fast forward through a lot of stuff. I didn't realize I only had 20 minutes or so, but I'm gonna jump forward to 2014. I've had a digital marketing agency officially since 2007, but I freelanced starting professionally in 2002. Prior to that, I had built a multi-million-dollar company in my 20s and became DirecTV's largest dealer in the United States at 27 years old. And how do I put this? I drank it all away. And at 34 years old, I got sober and changed my entire life. And I'm still sober by the grace of God, 21 years later. So in 2014, a police officer friend of mine, detective, calls me and says, hey, I've got a buddy that needs a job. And I said, good luck to him. And he says, well, I was hoping you might be able to look at him for working for you. And I'm like, well, what's he do? And he said, well, he's he was working construction, but prior to that, he was a sniper in the Marine Corps. And I said, well, I don't need anybody killed. What am I going to hire this guy for? Like, what are you talking about? And he said, well, can you look at him for sales or something like that? And I said, okay, fine. And so, I brought him in, and started to interview him. Great, great kid. And I said, dude, I mean, he was green. I said, I don't have time to train you in sales. My bandwidth it isn't there. Let me look at some YouTube stuff for Zig Ziglar or Brian Tracy training or whatever, and I'll give you X amount of dollars a week and get you started. And so I'm looking around on YouTube and I come across this guy named Grant Cardone. I'd never heard of him, and I'm watching some of his videos, and I'm like, what the heck? How have I never heard of this guy? This guy is unbelievable. His sales training is ridiculous. And I'm like, let me just dig in a little further. So I found that he had an online sales training university. And I thought, well, that would be a really organized, nice way to train this new guy. Can't be more than 30, 40 bucks a month. And so I call Grant's office and I get a sales guy, brand new sales guy there. And he comes at me with a $36,000 contract for their sales training platform. And I'm like, are you crazy? I'm not giving you, are you? And long story short, I gave him $36,000 and bought the platform because they are closers. And it was the best investment I've ever made. And Joey, the kid that I hired, became a rock star salesperson as a result of it. And along the way, and I've done SEO. I don't do SEO anymore, so please don't ask me to do your SEO. But I was doing SEO back then until Google changed everything in 2015. But I was doing SEO, and I'm looking around. I'm like, I Googled sales training, and Grant Cardone was nowhere. Like on the first 5, 6 pages, nowhere. So I call the guy that signed me up. I'm paying $1,000 a month over 3 years. And I'm like, hey, Todd, transfer me to Grant. And he goes, I can't do that. And I go, yeah, you can transfer me to Grant. He goes, why? And I go, because I'm Googling sales training and Grant's nowhere, like nowhere. And he goes, well, dude, I can't transfer you. I'll get fired. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I spend $1,000 a month with you guys. Freaking transfer me to Grant. And he goes, bro, listen, no offense, but Grant could drop $1,000 on the ground and not even care to stop and pick it up. I go, how's that not supposed to be offensive? That's offensive, dude. So he's like, you're going to have to figure out another way to get on his radar. So I had a client that we built her website and she sold custom wine bottles and you could do custom labels and everything. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have her make a couple of bottles of red wine, my graphic designer make a really cool label and I'm going to send them to Grant. My assistant, I put her on a plane, flew her down to Miami. She hand delivers the. It's a long story behind all that because Grant didn't show up at first, and I thought, oh my god, I just spent my last $1,500 sending her to Miami to deliver this wine, and he's not even showing up. And so they finally show up. She delivers the wine. He's completely blown away. And if you go to my company website, clientsi.com, and scroll down, you'll see Grant and his wife holding bottles of wine. You can click on that and it'll take you to the Facebook post that Grant did about me that day. And so Grant calls me that day with my assistant sitting in his office. And he goes, this Ken Walls? And I'm like, it is. And he goes, Ken, Grant Cardone, man, this is the classiest thing anybody's ever done for me. And I'm like, okay, that can't be true, but okay. And he's like, man, this is crazy. And I love your assistant. She's cute. I'm going to hire her. And I'm like, no, don't hire my assistant. I need her back like now. And so he's at the end, he said to me, if there's anything I can ever do for you or your family or your business, let me know. And that's when opportunity opened up the door. And I'm like, hey, actually there is. And he goes, what's that? And I go, I do SEO and I was Googling sales training and you claim to be the #1 sales trainer in the world, but you're nowhere to be found in Google. I said, in fact, Dale Carnegie ranks #1 and you're nowhere to be found and he's dead. And he goes, I know. And that pisses me off too. And he goes, can you fix it? I said, well, we can certainly talk about fixing it. And so Grant became a client of mine shortly thereafter, and we became friends. I had a TV show on his network called Digilead TV on the Grant Cardone TV network for a while. It wasn't very long because I'm like, dude, I'm not giving you $5,000 a month anymore. I'm not getting the return. So I ended up pulling that, but um, he told me, so I'm going to shorten all of this as much as I can. I'm compressing a lot of stuff, but um, he was going live on an app called Periscope all the time. And he kept saying, you got to use this, you got to use this, you got to use this. I go, okay, I got to use this. I don't own an iPhone at the time. I have an Android. Matter of fact, I was like the antichrist toward iPhone. Like I was like, I'll never own an Apple product in my life. And until I learned that Periscope wasn't available, and I'm like, okay, I need to get an iPhone. So I go get an iPhone and I end up I'm on his periscopes all the time, all the time. And he's doing a webinar. And I said on one of my live periscopes, I don't know how many people were watching, probably 10 at the time. I have no idea, but I said, you guys got to get on this webinar. It's going to change your life. It's only $49. It's 10x super life or something. Get on it. It's going to change your life. And some woman said, I wish I could, but I can't afford it. I'm like, you can't afford $49. You definitely need to be on this. So I'm like, you know what? I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask you a question out of one of Grant's books. And if you answer it, I'll buy your ticket for you if you get it right. but you have to tag me and Grant on Twitter and with the right answer. She didn't get it right. Somebody else did, so I bought him a ticket. And I got like this really big rush out of it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that again. So I did it again the next day. And I gave away another free ticket. And then I gave it away the next day and the next day and the next, about the fifth or sixth time, Grant is getting tagged. At this point, it's growing to 70, 80, 90, 100 people on my live streams all the time. And I'm like, so now Grant's being tagged like 1,000 times a day along with me. So I've got his attention, and he's like, who's this dude? And why am I getting tagged on all this on Twitter nonstop? So about the fifth or sixth time Grant shows up on my live stream, he's like, holy crap, dude, hang on. Don't ask the question yet. Cause I was getting ready to ask the question to buy somebody a ticket if they answered it right. Let me share this first. So he shares it. I don't know, 70 or 80 people watching. He shares it. And all of a sudden, bam, like 1,200 people are on my live stream instantly. And I became nervous as a hooker in church. Sorry, pardon me. That just came out. So I'm like terrified all of a sudden that there are 1,200 people watching me, and I don't know any of these people. And the guy that wrote the book is watching. So long story short, I did this 14 times. I gave away 14 tickets over a 2-week period. And at the end of Grant's webinar, to my surprise, he did a surprise drawing for somebody to win a trip on his private jet. And I won. And so when his COO called me to schedule Grant flying into Columbus, Ohio, where I was living at the time, to pick me up, I said, listen, my brother-in-law owns a private jet. I've been on them. They're cool. Maybe someday Grant and I can fly around the world on his, but this time I would prefer to just spend my own money, come to Miami and get some one-on-one coaching and pick his brain about my business. And of course I saved him $30,000 in fuel. So they're like, yeah, come on down. So I go to Miami and I'm terrified. Okay. Like at the time, Grant was only worth $100 million. And I mean, I am, and I said only, I know, but he was. And I'm sitting in his office for 3 hours, one-on-one with Grant. He had lunch catered in, and I'm sitting there and asking questions, and he's asking me questions. We're going back and forth. And he asked me the most important question I've ever been asked, and that was, and I'll leave the F-bomb out that he used, but he said, what the blank are you hiding from? And I was shocked. I'm like, what are you talking about? We're sitting in your office. There's 9-foot windows everywhere. I'm not hiding from anything. And he goes, you're hiding from something. If I wasn't your friend on Facebook, I wouldn't be able to see any of your posts. You don't have a fan page. I'm like, a fan page? I build websites, bro. And he's like, I buy real estate, bro. So what? I have one. And I'm like, okay, I got it. So I started a fan page the next day. That he goes, you need to go all in on your life and quit screwing around, lose the excuses. He handed me one of those don't be a little bee bracelets. And he said, and wear that. And every time you start to snap it on your wrist really hard. So I said, okay. And I mean, I'm not even doing it justice, the intensity of that meeting, because I went down the elevator with Captain Ryan, who flies his jet or used to fly his jet, Captain Ryan. And I walked down the street with Captain Ryan until he went into a restaurant. And I don't remember any of the conversation. I was completely numb. I knew my life had just completely changed, but I was numb. And I decided that day I'm going all in on live streaming. I'm going to go all in because nobody's doing it. Not really. So today I've done well over 4,000 live streams. I have a show, a very popular show Grant's been on. and about every other celebrity you could almost think of. But I've had over 550 celebrities and entrepreneurs on my show. It's ranked in the top 10% in the world and in the podcasting world. And I'm not saying this to brag. I promise you I'm not. I didn't go to college. I didn't even, matter of fact, in 12th grade, 3 months before graduation, they called me in and said, "You didn't get a biology credit in 10th grade." And I go, "Yeah, that sucked. I hated that class. That's why I didn't go." And they're like, "Well, you need that to graduate." And I'm like, "I'm never dissecting a frog again, so I don't really feel like I need that." And they're like, "No, you do." And I'm like, "No, I don't." And they wouldn't negotiate. So I just walked out. I didn't even graduate high school. But I've written 8 books, and I had an English teacher in 10th grade tell me that I would never amount to anything. She's written 0 books. So, but anyway, here's the thing is I went all in on my life from that day. I never have let up, and I still don't. I keep my foot on the gas. I don't hit the brake unless I'm sick. I got COVID in 21. It's the only thing that slowed me down since then. And that was for a couple of months. And the name of my podcast is, I think it's Shika, is Breakthrough Walls. So I again, I'm compressing a lot of time here, but I ended up leaving Grant's network, his TV network. I started my own show in 2018, Breakthrough Walls. I was stuck in 2018. I had made a really bad business decision, lost a couple $1 million, and I was literally screwed in life, and I felt it. I had to give my wife's car back to the bank. It was that bad. And in 2017, and I was like, what am I going to do? I don't want a cold call. Excuse me. I can. I'm really good at it. I've done it 10,000 times, but I don't want to do it. And so I'm like, I told my wife, I'm like, I need to get attention. I need to get attention. And she goes, "Okay." And I go, I don't, I think I'm just going to start a show. And she goes, "Okay, doing what?" And I go, "Interviewing celebrities." And she goes, "Well, do you know any?" And I go, "Not really." And I mean, Jeffrey Gitomer, I know him. I'll start there. And it just exploded from there because Gitomer referred me to somebody that referred me to somebody that referred. And I don't like, normally if people hit me up, 99.9% of the time, if somebody hits me up and says, "I want to be on your show," the answer is always no. Now, if you tell your agent or your publisher or somebody, "Hey, I want to be on that guy's show," hit him up, and the publisher hits me up, that's a different story. But I don't do it. It's one of my rules, and as crazy as it may seem, it's my show, and I make the rules for my show. So, but I've learned so much. I've now had my number one mentor of all time is Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy is a legend in sales training. I'm sure most of you know who he is. I'm now friends with Brian Tracy. I've now had Brian Tracy on my show. He charges $6,000 an hour to be on somebody's podcast. I got him for free. I'm business partners with the number one best-selling author of all time, Mark Victor Hansen. Him and Jack Canfield wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. Mark and I'm a referral partner of his and his publishing company. I also have my own little publishing company. Mark Victor Hansen wrote an entire chapter about me in his biography. What? I called him. I said, "Dude," he called me first. "Hey, I want Mitzi Purdue of the Purdue chicken family is writing my biography, and I want to put a blurb in there about you and how we met, and you're funny about the way we met." And I'm like, "Oh, the day you left me a voicemail saying you wanted to be on my show because Bob Donnell referred you," and I told my wife, "God just left me a voicemail," like, because that's what it felt like. And he starts laughing. He goes, "Yeah, tell her that story. That's great. That's great." And I said, "Okay." So Mitzi Purdue interviews me for an hour and 20 minutes. She's a billionaire. They do $6-7 billion a year in chickens. But I'm like, I sit here and I go, I literally pinch myself. Like, how All it took was one guy that's 5'7", but stands as tall as a giant. And listen, I know there's a lot of people that hate Grant Cardone. I get that. He's really obnoxious, but one on one, he's a really, really good person. And I mean that. I mean a really good person that would do almost anything for anyone. So, but I get the people that hate him. I totally get that. Everybody's got to have haters. Grant said that to me one time. He's like, you got to get more haters, dude. And I'm like, I don't want haters, man. I want everybody to like me and love me. What do you mean? Like, I don't want haters, but I get it now because the haters will talk about you more than the people that love you. And that gets attention. That gets more people Googling you, gets more people following you because they're curious. They want to know what you're all about. Why does this dude hate him, or this gal? Why does she hate him so much? Let me follow him just to find out. So, I think about that, and I think about where I am today. I think about Glenn Morshower, who I mentioned is my best friend in the world. And Glenn is probably the most recognized character actor in the world. Trust me, I've been to dinner with him hundreds of times, and sitting in a restaurant, just having a waitress or a waiter come up and go, I know you. You were on 24, whatever, whatever movie. And he's like, yeah, he's so humble about it. He always takes pictures with him. And if they don't ask, he says, do you want a picture? And they, oh my God, yes. And, because a lot of people are afraid to ask. But, my life today, and the fact that I'm doing live events with Glenn, and the fact that we sold out instantly in our last one within just a few days, and we kept it at only 30 people, but intentionally for a reason. But, the fact that all of this has happened and is happening in my life is just mind blowing. And it's all because I listened to what Grant said. Well, it's all because I got sober first and foremost. But then I listened to what Grant said. I took his advice and I've applied it to my life. And along the way now, I can call people like Mark Victor Hansen. I could call him right now and he would answer the phone unless he's on a meeting. I could call Grant. He may or may not answer the phone. He's really busy. Vinny Chopra, I don't know how many of you know Vinny, but Vinny's a good friend of mine as well. He's a huge guy in the real estate training market. I mean, I know so many people now that I'm like, I know I've got somebody mentioned Trump in the comments. I have Trump's cell phone number. Like, I have so many contacts now that will answer my calls that it blows my mind. I'm not supposed to be here where I am. And now I'm talking to all of you beautiful people, and I still sit here and go, I don't know why. I don't know why this has happened for me, but it has, and I'm grateful, and I encourage people to get out of obscurity. If you can ask yourself this question, am I hiding from something? Is there something I'm hiding from? I can tell you I was hiding from ex-girlfriends, ex-employees, ex-wives. I'm kidding. I was hiding from everything in my life. I was just afraid. Well, if I go public and I get out there and put myself out there and really build a celebrity brand, because Grant said you need to make your own celebrity. And I'm like, what's that mean, dude? I can't, like, I'm not an actor. I get in a movie. Now I've been in a movie. I was in a movie last year with Glenn. But like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. And now I get it. I get it. When you guys, when any of you, when you watch me live on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and you've watched me interview Mark Victor Hansen or Grant Cardone or Brian Tracy, and you've watched all these things, and then we meet in person, you're going to have a different outlook on me. You're going to see me as, wow, this dude's connected. He knows. And for me, it wasn't about ever becoming a celebrity. It wasn't ever about the money, because I just believe if you do the right thing in life, the money always follows. It wasn't about making friends with Mark Victor Hansen or Grant or anybody else. It was about, I just want to see what I'm capable of, because I don't feel like I've given life my all. and I just smashed on the gas, and I haven't let up since then. So that's as compressed as I can make my story. And anybody, listen, I'm willing and happy to meet with anybody and have a quick chat. There's a calendar at the bottom of my biz card, kensbizcard.com. I'll put that back in the chat again. You're welcome to schedule 15 minutes with me. We can chat, and I love helping people. Brian knows me very well. Um, I live my life to help other people. And I've helped Vinny Chopra. I've helped him with a lot of stuff actually, and never charged him a dime. Never charged him a dime. He's paid me. He has a digital business card with me. He paid me for that. But like I just help people. And I think that's Dr. John Gray. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. FaceTime me 2 nights ago asking me for a favor. He's a friend of mine. Again, it's like, what? Like John Gray is calling me the #1 best-selling author of the 90s. He coached Oprah, for the love of God, and he's calling me asking for a favor. It's mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling. But I'm very grateful, and I thank you all for listening to my very boring story.
And I think that one of the points that people should get is that from where you were to where you are now is not it's because you took action, and it's because you made that simple point of reaching out to Grant with the wine bottles, in which got you the connection to where using, I saw this yesterday, is using OPM, other people's marketing, other people's talent, other people's stuff, whatever it is, rather than recreate the wheel, to go out and piggyback yourself on their cart, who's already moving down the road. Grant's cart's moving down the road. And yes, he's obnoxious, and so is Trump, and he's a terrible speaker, but they both have their own mindset, right? And they both love the media, good, bad, and ugly. It gets them exposure. And the more exposure they get, the more opportunity they have to sell something or to impact other people's lives. I think that's where you're coming from, is where the ability to get in front of a room where, no, I'm not speaking Arabic. Sorry.
I know that popped up for me too. Why is it change? Why did it change that? But anyway, I forgot to mention one thing. One thing is, I had this download one day right before I was getting ready to go on stage. I was actually here in Dallas speaking at a big event, and I was getting ready to go on stage, and I hadn't been on stage in a long time, so I was in the bathroom throwing up. I'm kidding, no, I wasn't, but I was really nervous, and I had this download, and I asked the audience this question. I'm going to ask everybody here. In your market, no matter where you are in the US, I don't know how TV operates in other countries, but here in the US, we have ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox as the mainstream media. If I came to you and I said, "Hey, I represent ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox in your local market, and we love you so much and your content that we've decided that you can go live anytime you want, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year on all of the networks at the same time if you want. And here's the caveat. It's free. You can't pay us. You can do it anytime you want." A show of hands, who would say no to that? You would say no to that? I normally follow up, yeah, because you'd be the dumbest business owner in the world if you said no to that.
Mostly, like what you had said, where you were on your call and you had your 60 or 80 people and you're used to that, and then all of a sudden when it went to 1,200, you get that reality kind of kicks in. So
yeah,
if you went from not ever speaking in public to being live on all of that, I would hesitate.
Well, I get it, but it would certainly bring you a tremendous amount of attention for your business, no matter what it is. Now, if you're not a business owner, it wouldn't matter. If you own a business, the goal should be to grow, right? Like we all want to grow. We all want to bring in more money. We want to make more money. We want to make a bigger impact in the world. And the only way you can do that, again, money follows attention, right? So when I go, okay, I'm I've got to make some changes in my life if I'm in obscurity. And I see some of the questions. I'll answer a couple of them, but you know, the bottom line is, you know, of course, most of us, if not all of us, would say yes, and we'd figure out a way to overcome the fear of going out to all of those local networks, right? But here's the thing. Facebook is 1,000 times bigger than all of those local networks combined in your local market. And most people are ignoring Facebook Live. Most people are ignoring it. That's just Facebook. Then you've got YouTube, the second largest search engine in the world, owned by the largest search engine in the world, that you can live stream on for free, and you're not doing it. Or you've got Twitter, X. You can live stream for free. You're not doing it. You've got LinkedIn. You can live stream for free. You're not doing it. I do it. I do it all the time. Anytime I go live, I'm live on 10 different platforms simultaneously. Somebody asked, how do you protect yourself when you give out all details in public? I thought about that for a while. There are literally thousands of fake profiles using my pictures and both of my little girls, both my daughters. One's 18 now and one's 13, going on 40. But you know, I've she is. But you know, they use stuff to scam people that are my pictures. They use everybody's pictures. I can't stop that. I tried to stop it. I called the FBI. My aunt is a federal agent, and I called her. I said, I need your help. Like, there are so many fake profiles using my pictures and my daughter's pictures and your nieces. And she's like, oh yeah, I saw that on Dr. Phil. I'm like, you're a federal agent. What are you talking about? You saw it on Dr. Phil. So she's like, call my friend at the FBI. And the FBI lady said, yeah, we get over 1,000 phone calls a day in the Cincinnati office alone. We can't handle the volume. We can't really do anything. You can go report it over on this website, but it's not going to help. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm verified on every platform. That's something else. Is Facebook reached out to me, gave me a blue check mark before you could buy it. I'm an OG blue check marker, but they gave me the verification check mark. Amazon reached out to me. I'm an Amazon influencer. What's that mean? I didn't know what it meant. Amazon has influencers that we sell products, whatever it is. If you have a product on Amazon, I can put it in my Amazon store. And now I'm one of a handful of people in the world that can live stream directly to all of Amazon's customers. And it's like QVC for Amazon. And I do that for some of my author friends like John Gray and other people I've had come on Amazon Lives and sell their books and stuff. And one time I decided I'm going to go try to sell some TVs just to see how it works. And I did. It's actually the #1 live stream I've ever had on Amazon. And I made a lot of money that day in 30 minutes. It was crazy. But you know, I love what I do now. I love teaching people. The technology that I use to answer Stevens is I'm going to put it in the chat right here.
While you're doing that, can I ask you a quick question? Because a lot of these folks are real estate based.
Yep.
And using, I think, your ideas, and I'm not a listing agent, but for those of people in a group, there's a bunch of them on here that want to list property or that are trying to attract newer clientele that might end up being a buyer. Let's say that you're in Dallas or somewhere and you take your ideas of going live,
Yep.
but you approach me or Joseph as a shopping center owner and say, hey, I want to go present your property and I'm going to go live and hopefully going to work to get you some tenants. If I do this and it results in any business, could I get paid? It's going to cost you nothing as the business owner, but that way you're in the parking lot of a shopping center doing it live, and then you go to the tenants and you can potentially do that. For those people that want to go out and be in that space, I think that's a good opportunity. And then you're at least, it's not about you, it's about the property you're presenting, and as being a broker, that's going to help generate your business, I think. but that's just
Yeah, so I don't, is it 100% of you are commercial, or do you have residential in here as well?
a little bit of both.
Yeah, we do both.
I mean,
Okay.
primarily everyone is commercial. Some people dabble in both, but everyone is in commercial.
Got it. So, look, no matter what industry you're in, first and foremost, your only competition on social media is the algorithms. That's it. It's not each other. It's not the other guy down the street that you consider your competition. It's the algorithm. And the Facebook algorithm in particular, but all of them love live streams more than anything else. You do a live stream video, you will maybe you only have 5 or 10 people. I don't know. It depends on a lot of things, but the more you do it, the more attention you get. And the more you do it, the more that the algorithm likes you and they promote your stuff more. So when you start live streaming, if I was in real estate, I would, there's no way I wouldn't live stream every property listing that I have, or if I'm approaching somebody about doing their listing, I would say, hey, let me ask you a question. How many of your people that you've met with have said that they're going to live stream your property to their audience and go to YouTube afterwards and spend $100 to boost that post? Because you can, it's really easy to go into YouTube and do a YouTube ad and spend 100. I'll give you an example. Brian Tracy, when he was on my show, I got finished. I go to my YouTube channel, which I only have 3,000 followers. I could have 3,080 if all of you go subscribe to my YouTube channel. But so I have, I don't know how many I have, 3,000 and something, but I go to my YouTube channel and I'm like, Brian Tracy's video only has 69 views an hour after I interviewed him. That's ridiculous. What is wrong with people? So I'm like, it's the algorithm. I know that. So I just went in, I spent $200 was the budget. $200 to boost Brian Tracy, the Brian Tracy video. In 1 week, it had almost 30,000 views in 1 week for $200. And my subscriber count went way up on YouTube. So if I wanted to list a commercial property, I'd go, hey, I don't know how many people you've met with to talk about listing this property for you, but I guarantee you've not met with somebody like me. And they're going to go, why? And I'm going to go, because I'm going to list your property and then I'm going to live stream like a maniac. I'm going to have it live all the time. I'm going to be promoting the crap out of your property on live streams across multiple platforms on social media. It's going to be everywhere, everywhere. And there's nobody coming to them saying that. Is there? Am I wrong?
Nope.
Nobody's doing that.
No, you're
Yeah, I
not,
think
you're not wrong. Can I ask a question? You were talking about live streaming, multiple platforms at a time. Do you use a certain platform to do that where you can just do it on one and then it just automatically sends it to all the others?
I do. I put the link in there. It's, if you go,
StreamYard.
this is my affiliate link. It's called getstreamyard.com.
Oh, that's what
StreamYard
it
is the
is.
platform.
Oh,
And
okay. Thank you.
it's amazing, amazing. Yes. So, listen, I do have an event coming up in March with Glenn Morshower. If there's time, I would be happy to share his sizzle reel with you guys.
It's a
Brian,
fantastic event.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Brian was at the last event that we did. It was life-changing for a lot of people, but it's March 23rd and 24th here in Dallas, Texas, in the Colony. I have an office over there in Grandscapes, and they have these fantastic meeting areas, and so it'll be right here in Dallas. But I would love to show you guys. Now, there is a scene in this from one of the shows that he was in where a woman does use the F word. I'm sorry, I can't we're all adults. I'm sure you've heard it before. So, I'll share this, share sound, optimize for video, and then, let me play this for you guys. It's pretty amazing what Glenn has done in his career.
While you're sharing that, go ahead in the chat and put your information.
This job is about
Okay.
making sacrifices for the greater good.
Agreed.
You got a body count of your own, John. It'll come back to haunt you. Oh, I am not gonna beg for my life. Not from you or anybody else, Captain.
Our hands are tied. The arrest is on every media outlet in the fucking world. The man has no idea why he's sitting in the jail cell. His default will be to kill anyone who might have been involved.
Then I suggest you hide.
They take care of their assets. They'll take care of your wife, and they will take care of your son.
And in exchange for this generous offer, you want your brother's tape. I'll think about it. Roman, have they finished the frame on the 6th floor yet?
Yes. And the framing on the 7th floor should be done within the next 3 hours. The problem with the spokes in the basement, well, we solved that problem too. And if you start enclosures tomorrow morning, we should be 1 day ahead of schedule.
So go home.
Why?
Well, your family's arriving today, right?
Yeah, but they're not flying in until late on the night.
You remember a punk named J.J. Kendricks robbed the Quick Mart? We've got a witness who ID'd him, but she's getting the guilts. All she knows for certain is that he was wearing a really nice pair of boots. Fancy stitching. Unforgettable, she says. But Kendricks is a suspect in a robbery down in L.A.
Down in L.A.?
Yeah.
It is headed somewhere?
Yep. And so are you. There's a prelim day after tomorrow with a motion to dismiss.
There is nothing that you have said or done that is acceptable to me in the least. You're a traitor to this country and a disgrace to your office. And it's my duty to see that you're brought to justice for what you've done. Is there anything else, Charles?
You, who also have not seen the evidence, are claiming he's not a security risk.
This whole you and Landry thing has never made much sense to me, but I think maybe it's starting to right now.
Holy shit. Well, I knew better than to trust you.
Super 6-8, there is smoke coming from the top of your rotor. I advise you to come out now.
Have your crew step out or we will kill you.
While you're sharing that, go ahead in the chat and put your information.
This job is about
Okay.
making sacrifices for the greater good.
Agreed.
You got a body count of your own, John. It'll come back to haunt you. Oh, I am not gonna beg for my life. Not from you or anybody else, Captain.
Our hands are tied. The arrest is on every media outlet in the fucking world. The man has no idea why he's sitting in the jail cell. His default will be to kill anyone who might have been involved.
Then I suggest you hide.
They take care of their assets. They'll take care of your wife, and they will take care of your son.
And in exchange for this generous offer, you want your brother's tape. I'll think about it. Roman, have they finished the frame on the 6th floor yet?
Yes. And the framing on the 7th floor should be done within the next 3 hours. And the problem with the spokes in the basement, well, we solved that problem too. And if you start enclosures tomorrow morning, we should be 1 day ahead of schedule.
So go home.
Why?
Well, your family's arriving today, right?
Yeah, but they're not flying in until late on the night.
You remember a punk named J.J. Kendricks robbed the Quick Mart? We've got a witness who ID'd him, but she's getting the guilts. All she knows for certain is that he was wearing a really nice pair of boots. Fancy stitching. Unforgettable, she says. But Kendricks is a suspect in a robbery down in L.A.
Down in L.A.?
Yeah.
Is it headed somewhere?
Yeah. And so are you. There's a prelim day after tomorrow with a motion to dismiss.
There is nothing that you have said or done that is acceptable to me in the least. You're a traitor to this country and a disgrace to your office. And it's my duty to see that you're brought to justice for what you've done. Is there anything else, Charles?
You, who also have not seen the evidence, are claiming he's not a security risk.
This whole you and Landry thing has never made much sense to me, but I think maybe it's starting to right now.
Holy shit.
Well, I knew better than to trust you.
Super 6-8, there is smoke coming from the top of your rotor. I advise you to come out now.
Have your crew step out or we will kill you.
So that's Glenn, if you've never seen him.
Love it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
Yeah,
That's pretty close.
Ozark was one of my favorite.
What's that?
Ozark was one of my
Oh,
favorite.
geez, that's a crazy show. I know, it's good. So are there any other questions I could answer for anybody? I don't know if I'm sure I missed.
Yeah, no worries, Ken. We enjoyed you showing up here, and this is telling your story, right? This is motivating for everybody.
Thank you.
As we break out to networking, I just kind of want to add in just like a question, everything that Ken shared with us, like his journey and where he went through. I mean, where he started, where he ended are astronomically different. And just kind of bringing it back to commercial. I mean, just think if you had, even a fourth of those types of people in your speed dial, how much real estate you actually could turn around. Like if people are seeing you online, if you are showing that you're the expert in your industry and these key players, like finding deals, all the things that we talk about, finding deals and selling deals and finding buyers, it just wouldn't be the same problem, it wouldn't be the same conversation. So as you're connected and have these relationships and gain that exposure, that's the end goal for everything, referrals and connections. And that's how you make a business. That's how you create success. And so that's fantastic. And I really appreciate your time, Ken. That was
a quick comment on that, Valerie, is a recent success story that Ken knows is Ken invited Blake to an event in which he met Glenn, right? And now they're making a movie together.
Oh, Kevin Blake Weldon.
Yeah, Kevin Blake Weldon.
Yeah.
It's
country music star, actually. Yeah.
And I went to the event, and then of all things, I had a couple drinks and I was singing with him.
That's awesome.
Where else do you get a chance to network and meet people that you never know where it's going to take your relationship, personally or in business, just from having the connections. That's all. That's my personal experience. So it was a great event.
Thank you. It was pretty amazing. Well, thank you everybody for allowing me to come on here and chat and tell my story and hopefully if I inspired one person today to take your life to the next level, then I've done my job.
Did you put your link in there for the event?
I did. It's up in the just go to kenandglenn.com, Glenn with 2 N's, Ken with 1 N, and you can, tickets will go on sale this weekend. I'll make an announcement on social media. We're only going to have 120 people at the next event. I think we have 150 sold already. I hate saying that, but I don't know what we're going to do except for limit the number of tickets that can be bought. But as soon as they go on sale, I'll be making an announcement, and I appreciate all of you and would love to meet some of you in person someday soon. So
the team building and networking event was great. met some fantastic people from across the country. Had some amazing time at what's that thing called? The Great
Oh, the Great
Game
Big
Show.
Game Show.
That thing was freaking amazing.
Oh my God, that was yes, that
Yeah.
was crazy. So somebody asked for my contact again. I'm gonna just put my digital business card link again. You can click that, open it up on your phone, and you can save you can text me directly from there. You can call me from there. I don't hide. I have nothing to hide. I used to.